Super Motocross round number 2 from Texas Motor Speedway was definitely interesting, and we got a lot to talk about. The first thing I want to kind of discuss is the track. And for me personally, I think the track was pretty freaking bad. I'm going to show you guys a couple different posts here. This is from the Super Motocross Twitter feed. This is actually Danger Boy, aka Hayden Deegan's video. And look how like blue groove this track is. Look how rough it is. A lot of people, from what I've seen on like socials, saying it was one of the sketchiest tracks they've ever raced at. They were just glad that they made it out alive. Here's another image from Pulp, aka Steve Mathis. Kind of the same location as what Deegan has here, just from a different angle. I mean, look at that, man. It is so bad. That personally, for me, looks like a track from Arizona, maybe like an ACP type of track. Personally, they just maybe overwatered the track, expecting it to be super dry, and it kind of just ruined it. Also, I wasn't a huge fan of like the layout. They took away a sand section. The start was super freaking short. The start made a like huge factor in like positioning for the race, I think, because this track was super hard to pass. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the track in the comment section. But I was not a big fan of this Texas Motor Speedway round 2 track. This track also caused a lot of carnage, not just only in practice, but also in the racing. This was Carson Mumford's crash that actually broke his leg in qualifying. And it doesn't look too bad, honestly. It's just how he landed. And it really did a number on him. I really hope Carson's okay. It was pretty nasty of like an injury. Here is Nate Thrasher's. I don't have a video of it, but it was pretty bad. He slid off the face over the over-under. And yeah, you can see what kind of happens. This is actually very similar to what happened to Ty Masterpool here. He crashed going over the same exact thing, same exact situation for Masterpool. I think he got lucky because his front wheel actually hit the landing, where Nate Thrasher's did not. So it just kind of fully rotated over. Here's another crash from Masterpool, which is very like an awkward crash, like Super Motocross posted. It's just so awkward how he crashed. There was like a little boulder right there that he hit. We also saw Marchbanks crash a couple times, one in Moto 1 and one in Moto 2. Supermini class, there was carnage everywhere. I think there was a 4-rider pileup in the rhythm section, if I'm not mistaken. And then there was also a few more that happened throughout the entire race. I hope all those kids are okay, because this track was rough. And if you hit your head on like that rhythm section with how this track was created and how this track turned out, it was very, very bad. But this is RJ's crash. And RJ, dude, 2 weeks in a row on the edge of the rhythm section, going down extremely, extremely hard. I hope RJ is okay, but man, this is so freaking dangerous. I don't think he necessarily hit his head on the track. I think he actually hit his head on his bike, but it definitely knocked him out. I mean, he was out pretty much cold there. So I hope RJ is okay. I'm hoping that anybody that crashed is okay, because man, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially with only one race to go, man, for the off season. You don't want to ever see that. But yeah, let's jump right into our recaps here from this past week. Let's start us off with fastest qualifiers. I was right. I predicted Deegan to go out there. I did say that don't be surprised if someone else like sneaks up in there and gets it, but you can see Deegan was just in a league of his own today. He was 0.6 faster in qualifying. I mean, shout out to Ty for qualifying third, though. Jordan Smith, fourth. Like Tommy V and Kitchen are definitely my biggest surprise of not qualifying higher, especially not like out qualifying Jordan Smith, Julian Beaumer, as well as Ty Masterpool. Like, I don't know what's going on with those guys. Also, for the LCQ race, there was a lot of guys that didn't actually race. So Casey Cochran from last week hurt his, his knee. So he wasn't racing this weekend. He'll actually be out for the remainder of the SMX finals. You also have Chance Hymas, who also has a knee injury. He will be sitting out for the remainder of the SMX series. And then you also had Jalik Swoll, who had a concussion from SMX round number 1. He was sitting out this weekend. I believe he's going to be back for round 3. Don't quote me on that. I could see him potentially just missing that one as well. So now for the LCQ race, with those 3 guys missing, as well as Joey Savacci and Dax Bennett not racing, that was allowing 5 guys to make it in, plus the additional 2 that were already supposed to make it in. So you had 7 guys making it from the LCQ race, which is basically the entire field, because since Carson got hurt, there was only 8 guys on the line, and I feel kind of bad for Maddie. They should have just allowed him to race at this point. But yeah, so 7 out of the 8 guys made it in. Something needs to change here. You shouldn't have one race for allowing 7 guys to make it. I feel like the LCQ is not working out how they envisioned. So I definitely see some changing in the future. Now for the 250 overall results, obviously Deegan went 1-1, dominant performance. Tommy V went second with a 3-2, and then Joe went 2-3. If you guys remember, I actually predicted this. I said Joe, Tommy V, Deegan, top 3. My underachiever was Levi Kitchen. Technically got 4th place, all right? But that Moto 1 was... You got 7th place, man. You do not expect Levi Kitchen to get 7th place. Even though he's a 4th place rider, I think he's still underachieved with what he wants to do, especially in that second moto. Was right there with Deegan off the start, 1-2. Was trying to make a pass on Deegan. I think he potentially could have made a pass. Instead, he went off that track before the Supercross triple. And that I think that kind of chalked him a little bit, lost his momentum. Something needs to change for Kitchen. I don't know what's going on. I think he should be running in 2nd place right behind Deegan. Like, Deegan gapped him. It was like 20 seconds in Moto 2 after starting right behind him. I don't know what's going on with Levi. A 7-4, something's got to change. I don't know what needs to change. I don't know what's going on, why it's so different. He's used to racing these hard packed tracks in the West Coast. So I don't know. I did say that this track was more of like a Daytona vibe with how it was laid out. Obviously, the dirt was definitely not Daytona. And maybe have favored him a little bit because of the hard pack West Coast style. Like, he's good at that. But yeah, I don't have an answer for this. Let me know what you guys think about that. But my overachieve was going to be Ty Masterpool. And now let me just say, okay, he started out great. He started like 3rd place, I think it was, faded to 4th. And I was like, bro, just stay there. This is a great position. Yeah, he took a tumble. Like we saw, he took a tumble over the over-under. And yeah, I definitely jinxed him because I was hyping him up, and then he crashed, and then he fell back a little bit. He got 10th place in Moto 1. And then in Moto 2, we saw it again where he crashed, and yeah, he got 12th place in Moto 2. So not the greatest performance, and definitely I thought he had a chance to overachieve here with it being in Texas. He just signing a new contract. I personally believe if he doesn't crash in Moto 1 and he stays in like top 5, top 6, dude, that would have been epic for him. But hey, that's just sometimes how it goes in motocross. I hope that he comes out swinging for Vegas because I think he has a chance. But yeah, that was just kind of unfortunate. And then obviously my biggest surprise was him getting top 5. And he was in top 5 at one point. But let's hop over to the 450s for the combined qualifying. And I did say that Jet will get the top time. It wasn't close, though. Seriously, look at the fastest lap that Jet put down. It was 0.7 faster than his brother, but then also 1.2 faster than Eli, 1.7 faster than Chase. I don't know what happened in qualifying for Jet to come out that fast. He might have just had some section that he had dialed compared to the other guys. But man, that is a huge gap in qualifying. Usually, like we saw last week, it was very, very close, like 0.2 away, 0.3 away. But not in Texas. I mean, 5th place Justin Cooper, who was fastest qualifier last week, was 2 seconds off Jet's best time. 2 seconds. That's just ridiculous. But then we go over to the LCQ. This one actually was a little bit better than last week. So last week they took 4 guys. This week they actually only took 2 because Jason and Justin both came back. So the top 2 guys in the LCQ race was Colt Nichols and Dean Wilson, and they made it straight in. And I feel bad for Jerry Robin. He was basically leading the LCQ, fell behind Colt Nichols for a little bit. There was 1 lap to go, and Dean Wilson gets him because Jerry makes a mistake. I mean, you got to feel for Jerry. It was just unfortunate. But, hey, Colt Nichols made it. Dean Wilson made it. I potentially said that if Justin Barsha wasn't racing, I would put Justin Hill. Yeah, Justin Hill didn't even show up. I don't know what happened with that. Someone please let me know because he didn't even show up. I thought he was a staple to make it. He made it last week. Maybe he crashed last week and maybe he was a little bit hurt. Maybe he was injured. I'm not quite sure. And then we go to the overall results. Now, this was my biggest surprise, I think you got to say, is Hunter Lawrence getting the overall. I don't think anybody predicted that. I have snubbed him the last 2 weeks. He hasn't even been in my brain, even like a thought about him getting top 3 at all, or overachieving, or a biggest surprise. Nothing. Like, Hunter's been on the back burner for me, and I got to change that. He's been absolutely flying as of late. He won Moto 1, battling with Jet and Eli and holding off Eli for at least 3-4 minutes. And then he held off his brother for a little while until he made a mistake, and then Jet made a mistake and got by him. But Hunter rode amazing. Got to give it to Hunter. He was phenomenal. I think also another big surprise for me was Chase Sexton struggling in Moto 1. He was right there, and he was right behind him, and then he stalled the motorcycle in the sand. And then that kind of chalked him. I think he was going to make a pass for Cooper Webb to get into third. And that really could have helped him out for the overall. But then he kind of just stuck behind Cooper and couldn't really catch up to him. Obviously, the track kind of got crazy. And then the second moto for Chase. Dude, that guy was flying. He was gone. At one point, I think it was 14 seconds out in the lead. I was kind of afraid that maybe once he got into the lead, Jet was going to actually catch him, even though it was a 10-second, 11-second gap. I thought maybe Jet was going to be able to run the table and maybe catch him, maybe pass him, but nah, Chase put on a dominant performance. Maybe Jet kind of played it safe a little bit because that track was kind of dangerous. I don't know, obviously. Also, another big surprise, Tomac catching both Hunter and Jet in Moto 1 on a scoop tire. That was kind of surprising. Moto 2, I heard he also rode a scoop tire. I don't know why he would even think about doing that. We saw how hard packed the track was. You saw what the 250 guys were doing. So I think the scoop tire definitely chalked his performance in Moto 2. If he was running a regular tire, I think possibly he would have been able to catch those guys in top 4. I think he would maybe be able to catch those guys in Moto 2, but running a scoop tire on that track was kind of stupid. And then going down the list here, you saw Roxon a little bit in Moto 2. He actually crashed off the start of Moto 2 and was dead last and came all the way back to 6. You got to give him the ride of the day for that. Same thing with Pierce Brown. If you guys watched that race back, he was dead last and came back to freaking 5th place. Outstanding ride by Pierce Brown. Jason kind of just in no man's land after that injury. Dylan, amazing start in Moto number 2, pulling the whole shot, and then he finished 9th. So I don't know what necessarily happened there. We didn't really see too much after he got passed by Hunter and Jet. And then you got to give it for Colt. I mean, 13-10 for 10th place. Dean Wilson, 11th. Justin Barsha, 12th. My over and under achievers was Malcolm Stewart going to overachieve. Obviously, that didn't happen. He crashed a couple times. He crashed, I believe, in both motos. Crashed on the start in Moto number 2 with Phil, which was unfortunate. Shout out to Phil. And then my underachieve was going to be Webb, and that didn't happen. He got 4th, 5th. He actually rode really, really well, especially in Moto 2. So those are definitely way off the mark. My overall podium, I put Jet, Eli, Chase. Absolutely nowhere to be found. We had Hunter winning. I got to stop snubbing Hunter, man. Holy crap. Chase and then Jet. Technically, I got Jet right. I didn't think Jet was going to win at all, so I had that prediction correct. This is the points for the 250s. You got Tommy V, 19 points down, and Kitchen, 22 points down. Very, very interesting because I believe Deegan can still lose this championship since it is triple points. If Tom goes out and wins, I believe Deegan has to be like 3rd or better, and that sequence, that similar scenario, if Kitchen wins, he has to be a certain place or better, and Joe, same thing, right? So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm excited to watch this 250 class. I do expect Deegan to go out there and get, just win both motos, go 6-0. I do believe that. For the 450 guys, you have Hunter with a 1-point lead over Chase and then a 9-point lead over Jet. And then you got Tomac down 21 points. So I think Tomac is still mathematically alive. I think maybe same with Plessinger. But I expect it to be a 3-way battle with the Lawrence brothers and Chase. And man, I am just so freaking nervous. I'm more nervous probably for Chase because we have seen in the past that he's not the greatest at the winner-take-all scenarios. We saw it in motocross versus Eli, and then we saw it versus Jet and Supermotocross last year. So he's not necessarily the greatest, all right? But I think this is the year that he redeems himself. I'm just ready for this weekend, man. I'm already ready for Saturday. I want it to come already so I can just sit back and watch this and react with you guys. It's going to be awesome. So I also want to give a shout out to the boy Brody Moss. He won the Supermini class, and he's actually from Arizona. Funny thing is, we used to train together with one of the same trainers in Arizona. She's going to be on a factory ride here soon. But yeah, I just got to give a big shout to him. He rode amazing, man. His racecraft was insane. Made a pats in the sand similar to Tomac. He even said, yeah, I saw Tomac do that. I knew I had to do it. So, I mean, awesome job by Brody. Let me know what you guys think about the whole race in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for all the love. Make sure you guys hit the like and sub button, and we'll be back with some more bikes videos this week, as well as our predictions here later on this week. So